Hello beautiful people, I'm so glad you clicked this video. On my channel I talk about all things mental health and nutrition. I give tips on things I've done and continue to do to improve my overall health and well-being. My goal is to inspire you to be more intentional about your health. I hope this blesses you on your journey to having a health conscience. Well, hello. I am just getting started this morning. I'm a little bit behind schedule. Not too far behind, but I have decided to incorporate fitness in my health journey. So I'll be doing some exercise, whether it's going to be going to the gym or just doing some walking. Not exactly sure yet. I'm leaning towards the walking. I need to get into things. Y'all know I need to lean into situations. I don't need to just jump all in. I need to have time to adjust. So that's why I'm a little bit behind, but I'm catching up. So last week I was actually on vacation. We took a few days off and we went and pretty much we drove to the outlet mall. It's time almost for school to start back up, and so we typically take the girls to the outlet mall to do their back to school shopping. I like to go in the beginning of July because if you wait to the end of July when everybody else is going, then it's crowded. I don't like to deal with the crowds, So we went and did that, and while we were at the outlet mall, we also went to a theme park and a water park. So we did all of that good stuff. We had fun. I got rest. I enjoyed myself. So that's what we did. So I'm kind of getting back into the flow of the daily grind. So anyway, what I wanted to talk to y'all about today is a specific ailment that I was relieved of when I switched to a plant-based vegan diet. And so the specific ailment I'm referring to is migraines. Now, thankfully, not everybody gets migraines. I mean, if you've suffered from migraines, you don't wish that on your worst enemy. That is not something that anybody should have to endure. Now, just to kind of give like a brief background, I was diagnosed with migraines in like my 20s, in my mid-20s. My dad used to have migraines. My aunt used to have migraines. They had them really bad. So I already knew of migraines and what it was about. But you really don't know a migraine until you've actually had a migraine. And you know what I'm talking about if you've had a migraine. So migraines are not just normal headaches, right? Migraines are an intense throbbing pain that's typically on one side of the head. They can come with sensitivity to light. They can come with nausea, vomiting, dizziness, all the things, right? It's just this, it's a terrible feeling. At one point I had debilitating migraines, which many migraines are debilitating, meaning that you just can't do anything but lay down. Over the years, I have tried some of everything, and I used to have this one over-the-counter medication that worked for me pretty well, and then after about a few years of taking it, it started doing like absolutely nothing for my migraines. So it got to the point to where I had to go see a neurologist, try something different. Thankfully now there's a lot of different options out there medication wise that you can take preventatively to help prevent migraines, in addition to treat migraines. So I tried some of all of those. Some of those made me worse. Some of those like dulled it just a little bit. And so I never got to the point to where I was able to have a migraine and still function. So when I started this plant-based journey years ago, it started because of allergy symptoms, allergy-like symptoms. This is why I started to change my diet, because I wanted to see if it was going to have an effect on the mucus buildup and all the stuff that I had going on there. And thankfully it did. Well, unbeknown to me, it actually also had an effect on the migraines. So just yesterday or 2 days ago, I made 2 months on a vegan plant-based diet. So for 2 months, yay, I'm excited. So I have had, over the last couple of years, an average of about having 8 migraines a month. 8 may not seem like a high number, but again, anyone who suffered from migraines know that 1 is too many. So I had 8 a month. Well, since I started my plant-based vegan journey, I noticed that I hadn't had any migraines. Like none. Like I literally hadn't had any. And it was right after I was telling someone the story about the migraines and oh my God, and how the plant-based diet, you know, reduces inflammation. And when you reduce inflammation, you reduce pain, because pain is caused by inflammation. All of these different things, right? All of my nerdy science stuff coming out. So we're talking about all of this. And literally 2 days later, I got a migraine. But then that was on me because I hadn't eaten for a very long time. And I forgot to eat. It was one of those days where I was running and I was busy and I was doing such and such, and I had planned on making a particular meal that I wanted, and then I ended up being out for longer than I thought. So by the time I got home, I hadn't eaten for hours, and so that was my fault. But I'm saying all that to say a plant-based diet pretty much eradicated my migraines, which is awesome, because again, my intention initially didn't have anything to do with the migraines. Like, it wasn't even a thought. I was more or less concerned at the time with allergy symptoms. And the stuff that happened with the migraine, okay, that was a bonus, even though it's a really great bonus. It just wasn't what I was thinking was going to happen. So if you are having migraines, you know, I would suggest that before you get to a point to where you stress yourself out trying to find the perfect medication or the medication that's going to work 100%. I mean, I honestly didn't have anything that worked 100%. Maybe that was just my luck. And, you know, I just know that for me, I'm always trying to look for a healthier alternative or a non-medication alternative, a more holistic approach before I start taking medication. So I would say, if you could, try to decrease the amount of dairy and meat products that you consume, because, you know, like one of the videos I posted not long ago, I talked to you about processed foods and the consumption of dairy and meat and how it can cause inflammation in the body. And inflammation is pretty much the source of all your pain, right? And so if you can decrease foods that cause inflammation, then you could possibly relieve your migraines. And so that's what worked for me. And I'm hopeful that that is not just a me thing, right? That's just what happens when you stop eating inflammation causing foods. Then you can see a relief in those particular symptoms. Now, again, you know, this was not something that was on my radar when I decided to switch to a plant-based diet. It's just one of those benefits that happen in addition to the other things that happen. And I was almost like 6 weeks in when I noticed that I hadn't had any migraines. I was like, wait a minute, I hadn't had a migraine. And how I know is I track them. So again, anyone who's dealt with migraines, you typically have a migraine journal, or what they call a headache journal, where you write down when you had a migraine, pretty much what you were doing when it started. Did it gradually come on? Was it an immediate type of symptom that came on? All of the different symptoms that comes with it, whether or not you're on your cycle, what did you eat that day, all kind of things that you're writing. And the purpose of doing this is because you're trying to determine either what's the cause of your migraines, or if they're only happening at certain periods and all this kind of stuff, if it's only happening when you're stressed, all of that. So I typically put in my calendar whenever I have a migraine, and I noticed I hadn't had one in a while, and so I said, let me look at my phone just to check and see when the last time I had a migraine. And I searched it, and it was literally like 6 weeks. Like, how? Like, that's crazy. Normally in 6 weeks, I would have had 12 migraines, and I hadn't had any. So from 12 to 0, yeah, I would say that's got to be the plant-based diet. There's nothing else I did. That's the only thing that I did. I didn't change anything else. Because I stopped, when I started the plant-based diet, I stopped everything. Like, I wasn't doing any medication for migraines. Like the preventative medication that I had tried, I had stopped doing that. Like, I stopped everything because I wanted to be able to determine if the diet was actually helping certain things. And sure enough, after stopping everything, including the migraine medication, the migraine prevention medication, like, I saw the migraines go away. So this is definitely worth trying. Again, I know not everyone have migraines. I'm hoping you don't have a migraine. Lord knows. That's not fun to have a migraine. But if you do have migraines and you feel like you've tried everything and nothing seems to be working, or you've tried things and you only get partial relief, or it makes it to where you can function a little bit but you still can't live your best life, yeah, it's time to try something different. And so that's where I was, knowing that I needed to try something different, but I was at the end of my rope with not knowing what to do, because I had tried all these different medications and all this other stuff, and it just wasn't working for me. So a plus benefit, plant-based diet, that's what happened. And on a side note, another thing that I did this yesterday. I started to do more batch prepping of my food, because if you have to leave the house and go to work, you want to make sure that you either take something with you or you have a plan of what you're going to eat. It's harder when you want to eat a certain way but you don't have those foods available to you. So what I started doing is the food that I cook at home, I started making like double, and I'll try to put some in the freezer, but my husband will eat it before I can even freeze it, so that hasn't happened yet. But my intention is to be able to put some in the freezer, so that way when a day comes where I don't feel like cooking or whatever, life happens and I'm busy and I'm running, I'm doing this and that, I can just pull something out of the freezer. Well, you can get those little glass containers that you put in the freezer, because I stopped all plastic, y'all. We'll have a conversation about plastic on another video, but I stopped using all plastic. I don't even care about if it's saying BPA free. I just don't rock with the plastic anymore, so I get glass containers. And what I made yesterday, I made 3 different things. That's what I typically do when I cook. I'll try to make 2 or 3 meals, and that way it'll last us for the whole week, and I don't have to worry about cooking in the middle of the week, because the middle of the week I'm studying, I'm doing schoolwork, I'm helping the girls with something, I'm doing whatever, I got stuff going on with church and blah 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 blah. So I try to keep from having to cook in the middle of the week. So normally on the weekend I'll cook like 2 or 3 meals. So what I made yesterday was a quinoa meal. I made some lentils, and I made some black beans. And now let me tell you, I know all of those things sound like separate things. Like, okay, well, how is that a meal? What we typically do is we'll take and mix a lot of things with it and put like fresh veggies on top, or we'll eat it with brown rice or something like that. So like with the black beans, obviously we can eat that with brown rice. My husband likes to put avocado on top of it, and you know, fresh avocado, and cut it up. With the quinoa, what I did, this was different. I cut up some bell pepper, some celery, what else I put in there, some squash, and I cooked that up. And then I made some quinoa and I mixed it together. So you basically have a whole meal, because you have veggies and you have the quinoa. Another thing that I made, the lentils, what I like to do with that is I'll either put that on top of a salad, I'll put that on the side with a big bowl of fruit. Like, look, one of the biggest things that I'm realizing with this diet, this lifestyle, is that you have to change your thoughts of what food is. Food is not what we normally consider a big chunk of meat, a big old baked potato, and a small piece of broccoli or something. I mean, food is what you consider food, but the whole purpose of the food is to give you energy, right? It's fuel, it's your nutrients. And so what I try to be intentional about it is the things that I'm cooking, I want to make sure that it makes up the majority of the macronutrients that I need in my diet. And then the other things I can add on top. Like I can cut up an avocado and put it on top, or I can put a few pieces of arugula and spinach. Or if I want to make it fun, I can cut up a mango and throw that on top. So you have to see things differently. So I've been having a lot of fun with experimenting with my food. But I'm saying all that to say, to tie back into the migraines, I started researching specific foods that help with inflammation. And the first thing that came on my list that I would have never thought about are fresh cherries. And I've been eating fresh cherries like crazy. I literally will have 2 to 3 cups of cherries every single day. I've been loving cherries. Whenever it's cherry season, oh my goodness, they're so good. I get the Rainier cherries, I get the red sweet cherries, any kind of cherries, I'm loving them. Well, come to find out, cherries are anti-inflammatory, and I've been eating a lot of that. So, it's another thing you could try. If you're having some pain, not even just migraines, arthritis, or anything like that, try to eat some cherries. Like, eat you a good bit of cherries if that's something you can eat in your diet. Try to eat you some cherries, because that's something that worked for me. So I just wanted to talk to y'all about that. I hope that this was helpful for y'all. I hope that it's something that encourages you to try to eat more plant-based foods. If that's something you can do, if that's something that you have the willpower to do, I'm rooting for you. You can do it. I'm always here to give you any tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. And if you have any questions, of course, please leave it in the comments. Make sure that you like this video if you found anything I said helpful. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and send this to anybody that you feel needs to eat a little healthier. So I will talk to y'all in the next video. Bye.